one vote. That's what we have. That's the system we have now in this country.
Okay.
So how does the oligarch stay in power? The main vehicle for him staying in power is sexual liberation, because it blinds the people to their real interests. They become befuddled. They become easy to control. This is why the oligarchs always support sexual liberation. We had recently in Indiana the big coup d'etat. The governor passes the Religious Freedom Restoration Act. There was an uprising. The homosexuals claimed it was discriminatory against them. Who supported the homosexuals? It was the CEOs. And so what you had was, in effect, a coup d'etat. CEO from San Francisco flies in, overturns the law, rewrites the law, and then flies back to San Francisco. Well, do we have a government here in Indiana or not? Do you see the conflict that I'm pointing out?
Yeah.
That I'm trying to point out here?
Yes, I do. Yes.
What we have here is these proxy warriors. The whole history of the United States after World War II is the creation of covert warfare fought by proxy warriors. So civil rights movement's an example of it. The blacks we're talking about the Black Jewish Alliance that began with the founding of the NAACP. The civil rights movement is an example of the Black Jewish Alliance. The oligarchs, specifically the Jews, who are always a minority, along with the CEO, the creditors, they're always a minority. Homosexuals are always a minority. They use a broad front group to overturn the democratic process, basically. That's what they did. They countervened the democratic process, and they instituted their own rules. That's exactly the role that the homosexual now has in places, or had in this past year in the state of Indiana. He becomes the avant-garde that overturns majority rule. He overturns representative government, and this allows the oligarch to come in and take over. The oligarch, what is an oligarch? He's a creditor. How does he control? Through loans, through lending out money, through the mechanism of compound interest. This is the history of the United States in the post-World War II period. All of those democratic reforms that began with the populist movement at the beginning of the 20th century were all overturned by sexual liberation. It was the sexual revolution of the 60s. This is deregulation, the deregulation of the moral order. Deregulation began with sex because sex is attractive to the majority of people. And then once that happens, once the moral order is destabilized, then they come in with their usury, and that's how they establish total control.
Okay, very interesting. We're going to be coming up to a commercial break right now. We're with Dr. E. Michael Jones, the author of the book Abu Graib and the American Empire. His most recent book is The Church and the Jews. His website is culturewars.com. So we'll be right back after these messages with more of Dr.
sponsors.
E. Michael Jones.
Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe the facility you manage could establish new revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services. Cart King International can be the answer to your needs. Cart King is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile coffee, food, and retail carts and kiosks. Cart King has been working with clients and corporations across North America for 20 years, providing innovative designs, custom manufacturing, and timely delivery. Carts and kiosks are fun, and so are the dozens of designs on our website. Please visit us today at www.cart-king.com or just call us at 1-877-986-7771 and get your sales rolling.
Thank you so much for listening to the Opperman Report. I want to welcome all our new listeners at WWPR 1490 AM in the Tampa Bay area. We're brand new down here. We're getting a nice warm welcome. We have great advertising opportunities for local sponsors, local businesses, but also international websites and international companies too on our other stations in California, Nevada, Utah, and on the internet worldwide. But down here in Tampa Bay, Florida, we have some great opportunities for you to come in and get very, very affordable advertising rates. Get a hold of me at oppermanreport@gmail.com and we'll cut you a good deal. PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with Pure Soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to send a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild. The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aquadam can do the job. An Aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119.
It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. We're here today with our guest, Dr. E. Michael Jones, the author of Abu Graib and the American Empire. Also, his most recent book is Church and the Jews. And his website, if you want to contact him at his website, is culturewars.com. Dr. Jones, before we get into Abu Graib, let me ask you a quick question. How do you support this effort? How are you funded?
By people who buy my books and magazines.
Okay, so everybody go make sure you check out the books and the magazine, okay, to keep this effort going. So, Dr. Jones, what can you tell us about Abu Graib?
Well, the background to the story is I was invited by the law school of the University of Valparaiso here in Indiana to take part in a symposium on torture. So, I had heard about these atrocities as much as anyone else had, and I started to look into it and do research, and eventually came up with a long paper that I was going to present there. And that is the ebook, which is available on Kindle now. But it was what I found was, first of all, who's responsible for this? Who's responsible for this? And you go look in the first level, and it looks like women. It looks like a triumph of feminism. I mean, you had the lady there, I forget her name. Was it Lindy, I think? Anyway, the lady on the picture there torturing some guy, and then her superior was a woman, and then the whole operation is a woman. But you look deeper, and it turns out that the Israelis are involved in this thing. So it just exposes the whole ugly nature of the empire, the American empire, and the people that it's corrupting or being corrupted by to do its bidding. So I got to the symposium, I start giving my talk, and I start talking about the involvement of feminism. Well, the university professors are all upset because you can't say anything bad about feminism. And I said, well, look, it's not just me. I mean, everybody knows it was all women who were involved in these things, And then I said, even Barbara Ehrenreich said that a uterus is no excuse for not having or no substitute for a conscience. Well, they blew up at that. I mean, they just blew up at that. They were just furious at me. And I said, well, am I wrong to quote Barbara Ehrenreich? Isn't she a feminist just like you? Can you be a reasonable feminist, or is that impossible? Anyway, so it turns out that my talk did not make it into the Festschrift that was supposed to be published. I don't know whether it ever got published or not, but anyway, my essay was not included. So I published it in Culture Wars, and now it's available as an ebook. But I mean, I mention this simply to show the constraints that are placed upon you in an academic environment. I mean, what are you allowed to talk about exactly? It's not even clear anymore. Anything that's not offensive. Well, it's hard to do any serious research or writing if the criterion is that you're not allowed to offend anybody.
Yeah, that does seem to be another branch of oppression on freedom of speech. Now there's new political correctness in the speech and all that kind of stuff that you're not allowed to talk. No,
and it's becoming it goes hand in hand with oligarch control. They're exerting. Once they get control of the political process, they start using their proxy warriors to enforce speech codes on everyone else, so that everyone just becomes a docile slave to the system that they've created. So we have lots of sports, and you can have a whole network dedicated to bloviating about whether Cam Newton is a bad sport or not, to keep people distracted. The main distraction, though, is sexual liberation, because it numbs the mind. And as Michael Hudson pointed out in his analogy, killing the host, talking about parasites, that's what a parasite does. It takes over the organism and it attacks the brain, so that the organism starts replicating itself in the interest of the parasite rather than in its own interest. So the analogy here would be the media and universities. They are there to numb the brain so that the parasite can take over and have the labor that the organism creates go to their benefit.
Getting back to Abu Ghraib for a second, you mentioned that it was Israeli connection or control of this. What do you have?
Yeah, Shin Beth had its agents there instructing. There was a long history of collaboration with Shin Beth over torture techniques. And a lot of them, I go into detail on that, a lot of them were repudiated by Shin Beth because of the outcry in Israel, but they got implemented by the United States during the invasion of Iraq.
Okay. Did anybody ever go to jail for that? For the torture at Abu Ghraib?
What happened to those? No, I don't think anybody went to jail. It's been a while since I've written the article, and I don't know what happened to it subsequently. But as far as I know, no, I don't think anyone was demoted or anything for that. I can't think of anyone. I can't think of any trials. Certainly none of the people who were the main architects were obviously not in Iraq. These were the people who collaborated with the Bush administration to give permission for these techniques. Nothing ever happened to them. Nothing ever happened to the Bush administration. This is a history. I mean, in a sense, we have a history here of this type of behavior. The classic example right now being Hillary Clinton. Her behavior in the role she played in the overthrow of Gaddafi in Libya, I think constitutes a war crime, certainly by the criteria established in Nuremberg. I think her husband is involved in the same type of situation in his attack on Serbia. Why did Slobodan Milosevic end up in The Hague being tried and not Bill Clinton? Wasn't Slobodan Milosevic a Serb? Wasn't Serbia attacked by the United States? Or did I miss something here? And yet it turns out that the winners, the people who win these wars, never get tried for the crimes that they commit. It's just a sad state of affairs.
I would agree with you, especially in the case of Gaddafi, because not only was Gaddafi murdered, but his sons were hunted down and murdered.
Yeah, there's a documentary on YouTube called Semantics, and in it you can see how clueless Gaddafi was at what really was happening. The people. This was not a situation where the people of